I really want to see more like real world use cases and founders who build products that like regular people actually use. Like to use like crypto wallet for a regular person is not that easy.
Making the move of your life is what's made New York City possible. The grit, the grind, the creative, the courage it takes to build your life, right? That happens here in New York City. That's why I love this place.
So you've taken companies from the bottom to the top, like you've built companies, right? How did you transition from working for people and getting to what you do now? It's really interesting because,
Yeah.
what was the moment where you said, you know what, I don't want to work for anybody anymore. I want to go start my own PR company.
Yeah, I think I always wanted to try to build something on my own, but also on the other hand, I was never someone, when you read all those stories about great entrepreneurs, how they start selling something from like very early age, like instantly they just start
Making
like
lemonade stand.
businesses and everything. And I never like felt that I'm this kind of person. So I kept telling myself, not like it's not time anymore, that's not for you, probably better to approach like the safe way. And especially generally in Russia, I think the narrative is that when you build something, if you build something, it really should be like a success. And it's a very big culture that mistakes are not okay to make. It's like very different here in US, and I think people like are more easier with just life experience, and everyone makes mistakes and it's completely fine. But like back there, like you really hear it all the time and you see it all the time, how badly people perceive when you fail. It's not that like your friends and your circle like would be supportive, but it's really tough when you live in this kind of culture. And then I actually started an agency when I moved here and when I already left Cointelegraph. And part of that is I believe that I became living here in a very different culture where people are much more open to any kind of experiences. And especially New York is such a city where you can be anyone you want and like no one would tell you anything. And also I already got experience from Cointelegraph where I had like a lot of freedom to do things, and it was an amazing like startup and building experience when I got a chance to build things, have resources, but also not like have all the risks of all your own company.
And all the
And I also-
restrictions, the boundaries, the walls. It's funny, I like to say, New York America allows you to fail. And you need to fail. We have an expression in business a lot of times. It's like, I don't know if I trust anybody that's never failed before.
Interesting.
Because when you fail, you learn from something. The people like never failed. That's how it's startup culture. You might fail your first 2 or 3 startups and then you have the win.
Yeah.
America allows that. New York allows that, right? So it's interesting you said that. This is a place that failure is embraced.
Yeah.
Taking risk is embraced. That's how you build great things.
Yeah, it's very different here. And initially, I also got the network in the industry, starting like a PR agency. I was able to onboard first clients quite quickly. And then there is a business which doesn't require like that much of external investments as opposed to like when you do some tech startups. So it like kind of grew organically.
So tell me,
But it is a different scale though. For example, when like Cointelegraph was growing, it like went into the quite big team. And that's, I think, where like the culture changed a lot. And when the team is growing, you have to start implementing a very different like management style, more systems to track all the KPIs and everything. I'm now enjoying again working with a smaller team, starting things, and the atmosphere on our team is much more intimate, friendly, and it's like with your family and friends, you're building something.
Have you been so shocked how crypto's just exploded, right? Blockchain, Web3,
Yeah.
it's going in directions, I think people never could have thought of. And how has messaging been so important to you on that, like your job? How have you helped push that? I always tell people, it's like, before I became more public, which I'm trying to do now, is my job is always to be the wind in other people's sails, to push them. And that's kind of what you do. you're the wind pushing people's sales, the crypto sales, the Web3, these companies. And tell me a little bit about that. Did you expect it to explode like this? And then, what's it feel? What's it like?
Well, it feels really cool to be such an early adopter of something that grew a lot. To be honest with you, no, I didn't expect it to grow that much. There were even like no conferences, there were small meetups where you would come, and like initially only Bitcoin was there. Now there are like thousands of different cryptocurrencies, but back then it was a very small community, to be honest, of a lot of like crazy believers, guys. It was a super fun time. It's very different now, but definitely we were having a lot of fun, and now as well. And generally, I think Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is a very interesting phenomenon. Bitcoin is almost like a religion, in my opinion, to be honest, because it's based purely on belief of people who support Bitcoin. So overall, by itself, it's amazing, like storytelling thing, how without any centralized institution or a leader, there is this anonymous personality. No one knows who that personality is. Satoshi Nakamoto, who like is believed to be a creator of Bitcoin. And now Bitcoin has like such a crazy valuation, and I think it outperforms like a lot of assets in terms of like financial value. But on the market, to be honest with you, not many projects are that good like in brand positioning and storytelling. As unfortunately, I believe because it's also something new, it's a market where you can gain a lot of financial like income very fast. A lot of people use it like in a bad way, and especially it's a market where regulation only recently started happening. Historically, this market is also like known to have a lot of like scams and like people just taking money, and a lot of like projects, they just appear super quickly, collect the money from the community, and they're gone.
And how does your business frame that conversation? How do you help them with the story?
So in this case, actually, it's super important to have a long-term communication strategy, because there is such lack of trust in the industry. There are a lot of anonymous founders, builders, and then like what's actually makes a difference when you show consistently your transparency, your participation in the project, when you like actively giving interviews, and when you're mentioned in the media. Of course, like there were also cases when big companies mentioned in the media went down, but it happens everywhere, right? But overall, I believe the most successful and the most long-term projects in the space are those who have deeper ideas in the messages of the project. Because oftentimes people only focus on financial gains and trying to promote token, saying like it will grow a lot, invest now. But Web3 is also so much about community, and a key to success in communications and in the marketing strategy is actually to be able to involve your community and make them your brand ambassador, basically.
Right.
While in classic marketing, everything is centralized and marketing team come up with everything, like in a culture of building in a more decentralized way, the key is to find these resonating messaging points that would like make people really want to join you and help you tell your stories.
They're super fans. And
Yeah, I think it's very different from like classic marketing. Now brands like tend to grow more communities as well, but I'm not sure if like there are actually like just people who would join brands, start helping them, and then also be able to get some benefit from that.
Well, I work with a lot of brands, and I always tell them this is no longer the spray and pray approach, which means let's just spend a lot of money and put ads out in marketing. You really focus riches and niches. People say niche, I guess, but I say niches, the southern to me, riches and niches. And you super focus on who your super fans is. Forget followers.
Yeah.
It's like, well, who are those super fans that are going to do word of mouth and guerrilla marketing for us and spread it, right? And it's interesting to see the crypto world, or anything. It's all creativity. Storytelling has been as old as time, and it's always the same thing. How do we make these people believe something that can help us grow, right? And you sound like you're you know that world really well. I don't know the crypto world as well, but it seems like it's all the same thing. It's like, how do we tell the proper story? Because you're right. It's the only way Bitcoin has the value that it has is people still believe this illusion, right? And that's fine. That's how things are. It's the same with the stock market. Until you get the numbers out, you're believing in that company until the numbers come out, and then it dips and goes. But long term, you believe the story that this company is going to last. Like Coca-Cola, they're going to last, right? And that's the same thing. Probably what you have to do is, like you said, long term is how do we help our marketing and our clients know this is a long-term strategy? I have an expression I always used to tell people when we were making literally like sizzle reels. You sell the sizzle, not the steak at the beginning, but you have to have the steak. You go to a restaurant, the steak restaurant, you're hungry. You're like, you smell the sizzle of the steak. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to eat that steak. Then what happens when you eat the steak? You're full, you're tired, but the sizzle was so exciting. But you got to have both.
Yeah.
You got to have the sizzle, your marketing, but you got to have a long-term plan, the steak, to keep people engaged.
Yes, and this skill is very important because for many products and in Web3, you actually have to start building your community and like your media story even before you have any product.
Yeah.
So it's like absolute, like before product market fit, before you have anything to test. And it can all only be built on these kind of stories and narratives. Now for crypto, I guess like the narratives we build oftentimes like very new and different from some like classic communication. Majority of crypto holders are actually like Gen Z generation. So a kind of like storytelling and myths and campaigns are now based on their behavior patterns. For example, now we're developing a campaign for the client, and it will be fully based on like kind of gaming experience, because for example, how majority of younger people now make connections is through social apps and through online gaming. So you need like stories and tools and channels that would resonate with the target audience you need to talk to.
Yeah, when it always comes down to, you build up, I think, like a Rolodex and resources. So when it's funny, I love that you have a company. And how did you get the name of your company, by the way?
Yeah, the company is called B612, and I wanted like one of the main ideas I wanted to have in the company, that we have a very individual approach and full of like love to what we do. And it was inspired by a name of asteroid from the book Little Prince, which is like one of my favorite books.
Classic.
And this is the name of the planet where he had the fox and the rose. So it's like a place of love.
So you have a story. You told a story that motivates you to build this business. And it's funny, you now take that and you're helping clients figure out and navigate their story, their creativity, their message. Where do you think it's going to be in 5 years from now, crypto? Everyone's buzzwords, of course, AI is changing everything. It's interesting to me that you were also, before I come back to that, I'll start that again, is you were at the ground floor. It's like the people being at the ground floor of the internet. You're at the ground floor of something. You saw it and how it's built. So you've seen this whole arc, the story. You've seen this whole story arc, right? Where do you think it's going to be in 5 years? Where's the story going?
I really want to see more like real world use cases and founders who build products that like regular people actually use, because now, to be honest, the industry is like kind of bubble in itself. And when it's some protocol or product solely targeting like very professional crypto traders and so on, the market size is quite small, and the competition for the same audience between like same protocols is insane. So I hope to see that there are more like mass market products where with better user experience, because like still like to use like crypto wallet for a regular person is not that easy. I just recently had experience. I was trying to explain to my friend like how to even start, and it is so overwhelming for a person who have never tried that. And honestly, I believe a lot of like products will be using that technology and their ideas inside of the product, but the way people don't even have to know that like it's there. I think it can bring a lot of new mechanisms in how we like interact with each other, and like how we manage our finances, and like a lot of assets can be tokenized. And for example, stable coins now give people who are completely unbanked access to be able to store something like USDC, which is like a digital version of US dollar. So I I really hope that we will have more products that will get mass adoption.
And it has to be easier, right?
Yes,
I remember
it has to become easier.
it's funny. I'll tell you a story in a minute, but I'll go back to it. Is I remember I was helping we were helping develop the technology where you could touch and buy things way before its time, and this before Instagram was doing it. But I remember saying the one-click model to come out with Amazon, touch and buy. And I would go and I was working with these engineers, and we were going to be, okay, if you're watching a TV show, you should be able to just buy it, what you see with those shoes, anything with one click. This was like 2018. And everybody's like, okay, what are you doing? And they kept coming back to me, engineers. Well, no, we'll second window it. We'll do all this. I'm like, it's too complicated. I have an expression, sell in the now, but plan for where things are going to be in 5 years. You have to sell in the now, but you'd be better be planning for where 5 years. It used to be 10 years, but things happen so fast now. It can be 2 years. And when you were telling me about how complicated it is, the wallets, my producer Anastasia, she was getting me into crypto and meme coins and all this whole lot back. And my frustration, she's a little bit younger than me by a good, 20 years. My frustration trying to figure out how to buy it I was going insane.
Yes.
And she was literally patient and texting me. It's like, don't give up. Don't worry. You just got to do this. It'll happen. I was like, And I remember thinking it has to become the Amazon model, one click. It has to be easy. So what's a product that you would think would be perfect coming in the future that would make this easy? Like, or is AI going to solve that for us?
Well, I don't think it's a question of AI, more I would say better fiat on-ramp, off-ramp solutions. Now it's also complicated, especially in US in terms of regulation. For New Yorkers, for example, the only centralized exchange you can use is, I believe, Coinbase, because it requires to have a New York license, and no business like except Coinbase was able to get that. So just like better like user experience product. And I think also because like in the industry there are so many like young builders without like real experience like in UX and so on. Now I see more and more like professionals with like big background with financial products join the industry, and I see that like products start getting better and better. So I'm really happy to see that people with big professional journey and with good understanding of how to build a good product now start joining the space.
And I think you have to marry two worlds. People reach out to me a lot. Companies I've advised, space companies to landscape firms to all types of businesses. I'm not just in media. I'm a generalist. I'm more entrepreneurial now in a lot of the things I do. And what I found, and there's been some in the tech space and the crypto world I've had conversations with, and it's because they're trying to do something, and then they have to realize that like the old traditional ways mixed with the new ways work. So if you have a Rolodex, how do we combine them and make a partnership to actually expand that and grow that, right? So you use the old model mixed with the new to move momentum.
Yeah, many Web2 brands actually also did some like NFT collections and these kind of things. Fashion brands, I saw like quite successful use cases. So yeah, actually you are right. These kind of Web2 brands that have like a massive audience, those kind of companies can also start onboarding like the regular people to start using this new technology. And overall, I think our world is getting like more and more like a digital world, and it's a time when your digital identity is very important, and online you can basically create any kind of new digital persona, and then it's not even like how you look, what's your name, or where are you from. It's more about, for example, what kind of NFT communities you're part of. And there are completely new ways how you show your personality, and that's all happening through digital world. That's why like many fashion brands now create these collaborations with games, for example, and when they create special kind of like in-game merchandise, and gamers can start like wearing something by a famous brand. I think it's super fun.
Cross collaboration.
Yes.
And final thought, where do you see your business in maybe 5 years? What's your goals? What's your hopes and dreams?
Yeah, I want to expand and like our number of services we provide, because now we are mostly focused on media coverage and communication strategy. But oftentimes I see that when companies come to us, they do not have any like foundational understanding what exactly they're building, who are they targeting, why. And sometimes we see that when person on the team doesn't have an understanding, then PR strategy is kind of hangs in the air, and it like not bringing the maximum value. So I want to start like also providing services on go-to-market strategy and this like initial branding messaging, so we would be able to give like this all over like marketing strategy to really work together and to bring maximum results.
Absolutely. And look, if I can ever be of service for my team, I call that the 360 AK wagon approach.
Yes.
You know, it's like how everything connects and how you cross promote and how you find value. And a lot of people just focus on the product. They don't see the 360. They don't see how it all impacts each other and roles, and then how you cross promote. So I appreciate you being here. If I can ever be of service, thanks for having
Yes, we'll
next
be happy to
conversation.
do some collaboration.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. That's how life is. It's all about what's around you, right?